Welcome to this episode of Locked In. In this episode, we're going to be doing part 4 of turning my gravel bike into a 90s mountain bike. And because of the votes on the community poll that I put out on my YouTube last week, apparently everybody wants to see if a hydromechanical brake upgrade will be actually beneficial to this bike. Now, full disclosure, I have ridden these stock dual piston Tektros quite a bit. Actually just finished a ride yesterday that was really my final test to see what I really thought about them. And honestly, they brake really well once they're bedded in and you adjust the cable tension. So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is taking a set of my TRP HYRD hydromechanical calipers and putting them on the Poseidon. Now for the eagle-eyed among you, you're going to notice that one of these is flat mount and one of these is post mount. So realistically, I just didn't want to spend any money getting another flat mount brake, which is the style that this bike comes with. So I did order a flat mount to post mount adapter for this. I'm going to try to put the post mount caliper on the rear, so it's kind of hidden by the disc rotor and the cassette, but we'll see how that turns out in this video. Now, the big thing I really did notice yesterday was the braking power was actually really good on the bike. The main thing was on a long, about 3-mile descent, you just really feel the fatigue of riding a mechanical lever because essentially your forearms are all the power. So having these calipers are supposed to add a little bit of braking assist. So let's just find out if these work. So I have the calipers all installed that you've been watching, and let me go over the front and rear and the little things that I may or may not change going forward. So let's start with the rear caliper. As you can see here, I have my flat mount to post mount adapter. It lined up and worked really well. It is a little bit more finicky to obviously set this up since you have 2 points of adjustment here and here, but overall pretty seamless install, and I was able to reuse the brake cable I'd already cut, just simply had to slide it back through. And put my flat mount caliper on the front. Now this is where I'm going to show you a little bit of difference between the front and the rear of the bike. As you can see here, I have a different lever arm that is supposed to shorten the pull and make it better, especially for a drop bar scenario. And I did buy a set of these. I don't remember what they're called, but I'll put a picture of them on the screen right now. And for some reason, I only installed the one. And so there is a little bit of difference of a brake feel compared to the front to the rear. So now that is something that I could switch the lever arm and put the front one on the rear to tighten up the rear feel, because I do usually like the rear brake to feel a little bit tighter or a little stiffer. There is still a little bit of a spongier feel at the end of the brake pull compared to the front because of that lever arm difference. Now I've spent the last day and a half looking for that piece, and that's why I've shaved, because it's a different day than when I started this video. And I'm going to see how it initially feels, and I'll be updating you later down in this video series if I do end up changing that or modifying it in any other way. There are a couple of other little hacks for these brakes, and honestly they're pretty good overall, but hopefully I'll find that other part. So let's take this bike out on trail, and I'll give you my final thoughts on if I'd recommend this or maybe things that'll change in the future. First off, before I get into this, does anybody ever bring like coffee or anything with them on their ride? I'm doing obviously this short little shakedown, and I didn't feel like drinking water. It's still early in the morning. I have my specific bottle that I bring usually coffee in. I have a few extra spares that'll bring other beverages in sometimes. Does anybody else do that? Please make sure to comment below. Okay, so let's get into these brakes. I really think that these hydromechanical upgrades are definitely worth it overall, but here's my little case scenarios of when I think you're really gonna need to do it. So there's gonna be bikes out there that have mechanical disc brakes that are your single piston calipers. 100,000% you need to go dual piston. It's a lot better braking power, it's a lot easier to modulate, and it's gonna be typically a better, stronger brake. So if you have those on your bike, for sure 100% definitely worthwhile upgrade. If you're going to be spending the money, it's usually not a huge amount of difference between the dual piston quality calipers like what came stock on this bike or your TRP Spires to go to a hydromechanical brake like the Hwin R1s or these TRP HOIRDs. Now if your bike has a dual piston high quality caliper already on it, this is going to be an upgrade only in certain scenarios in my experience. The scenarios are going to be those longer descents like I had mentioned where you're going to be fatigued just slowing and stopping the bike down. These are going to give you a good bump in power so that you don't have to physically exert as much energy to slow the bike down. If you're not going into those scenarios and riding in those kind of areas, I don't think this bike would have needed the upgrade. Meaning that if I wasn't planning to bike pack this bike or there wasn't crazy descents in my area that I wanted to take it on, I definitely think the stock brakes would have been fine. But again, this is gonna be my bike packing rig where I'm gonna be adding extra weight. So even if it's not crazy descents, it's just gonna have to handle even more weight of the bike. So if you're a heavier rider as well and you're worried about that and you want that extra stopping power, these are definitely a worthwhile upgrade. Now with these specific models, the TRP HOIRDs, I really do recommend that short lever upgrade arm. Like I said, it is about 40 bucks. I think I am gonna swap my front shorter lever to the rear because again, I've literally spent days looking for those parts and I can't find it. So I'm gonna be doing that to make the brake stiffer in the rear. It has a little bit of spongy feel near the end of the lever travel. I'm still able to lock it up like you've seen in the footage, but I'd rather have a stiffer, more responsive rear brake than the front. So I think I'm gonna be doing that, and I'll obviously let you know in the later build series of this if it honestly makes a difference when I take this out on a longer, more technical ride. So make sure to comment below if you have any other questions about these brakes specifically. I will be doing a full review on the Hwin R1s. I definitely prefer those over these, but I'm saving those for a future build that's gonna be coming on this channel hopefully sooner than later that I wanna save those for. And if you subscribe, make sure to keep an eye out for my community posts, and I'm gonna be posting up another one very soon, so keep an eye out for it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. I also have links for my Facebook and Instagram, as well as my Spreadshirt Store where I have cool locked-in merch, as well as for my Patrons at my top 2 tier levels. I offer cycling one-on-one Zoom consultations every single month as a perk. And lastly, thanks for watching this episode of Locked In.
Let's get locked in.